All right, welcome back, everyone. We are here for the next session. Just so that everybody knows, I have been in contact with Crowdcast, the creators of this platform, and I'm just having them check to see and make sure that everything is working fine. There's been a few of you who have had some buffering issues, and hopefully they're able to clear it up. But again, any loss of video, buffering, audio, anything like that, you should be able to simply refresh and everything will be good. Make sure you're using Google Chrome as your browser. If you're at work, there might be an issue with the internet. You'll have to get with your IT. If you're at home and there's issues, it just might be your internet, or you have too many devices that are hooked to your Wi-Fi, so it's killing the bandwidth. But either way, I have them looking into it, and we'll get it all figured out. So our next session today is let's see. Roxy says, at Ricardo, you said everything is working fine, and I was dumped out. I didn't do that. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what's going on with that. But our next speaker today is my good friend Rob McMullen, and he's the executive director with Knox County 911 out of Indiana, and he's going to be presenting protocol-based dispatching, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thank you very much, my friend, and take it away.
Well, thank you, and thank you everyone for joining probably one of the most boring sessions that we're going to have. So if everybody wants to go ahead and get a drink, go watch something else, go check your mail, do something else, then we're all good. So anyway, so we're going to talk about protocol-based dispatching. Recently, or I wouldn't say recently, but over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of negatives, a lot of information that's come over about protocol-based dispatching. For those who aren't familiar, how do I get this to go? There we go. What is protocol-based dispatching? So the purpose of protocol dispatching, or the purpose of the protocol questions, is to provide a structured way of for the emergency dispatcher to gather information from the caller regarding the primary complaint, associated signs, symptoms, and additional information relevant to the scene of the circumstance. So that's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. Basically, the reason for protocol dispatch is, in my opinion, to get everybody to ask the same questions, and that's what I want to do. That's what I wanted for in my center. That's why I went for it. Protocol based dispatching is basically EMD, EFD, EPD with any of the big three companies that provide those. Anytime where you can you ask a scripted questions for when you take a 911 call. Why do you want to adopt the protocols? Without protocols, the questions asked by dispatch vary greatly. A veteran dispatcher may ask questions that they know the officers will need. A new dispatcher will leave out questions that don't seem important to them. A veteran or a rookie need to be on the same page when asking the same questions constantly. I'm sure everybody on here has a full staff and dispatch. Therefore, they don't have problems with training, and they don't have the problem with you get somebody asking one thing, somebody asking the other. One of the reasons that I wanted to go for the protocols to implement, we had already implemented when I got here. When I got to my center, EMD was already implemented, but they weren't really using it. And then when I got here, we decided to move forward with the EFD side and the EPD side. Not really because we were having any issues of the way things were going, but more of it to that I want to make sure that everybody's asking the same questions on all calls. And when I say the same questions on all calls, I don't mean the exact same questions, but I want to make sure that if the dispatcher that has been dispatching for, like I said, a veteran dispatcher, anywhere 3, 5, 7, 10, 25, 50 years, is asking the same questions that new dispatcher that started 3, 4 weeks ago, and they're still in their training program, that they're asking the same questions that a veteran dispatcher already knows to ask. Now, a lot of the problem, like I said in the slide, is a veteran dispatcher will ask questions that they know the officers will want, and that they know that it's going to, while it might not necessarily be on the protocol, but they know that it's going, that if they don't ask it and they don't provide that, that the officer that works the road that likes to ask 25 questions for every call, he's going to ask these certain questions, and they're not always relevant to what it needs to be. So with the protocol based dispatching, you're going to ask the questions that are relevant all the time, that need to be provided to the responder, and those calls that probably that they're asking that aren't relevant, they're just asking to, because they want the officers to do their job for them. We all have those kinds, I'm sure. Protocol dispatching pros standardizes training. All the callers are asked the same types of questions depending on the chief complaint, and there's unnecessary information is not asked. Do we necessarily need to know what color of the socks the guy's wearing? No. Do we necessarily need to know, if whatever it may be? But we all have those officers that like to play the 20 questions for the deputy or for the dispatcher who just are asking questions, sometimes just to be an asshole. It happens. We all know that. But when I say the standardized training, everyone goes to the same type of protocol, or everybody goes to the same EMD, EFD, EPD class. They're all trained up the same way. They take their online courses, they take the courses in person, and then they start using the protocols. And everything is done the way it should be, not by one person doing it this way, one person doing it that way. We all know that when you're tied with a trainer, a lot of times that the person that's doing the training has been doing it for so long, they forget little things. They forget, they might forget, hey, this is what they do, just because it's something that happens time after time after time, and it just doesn't click with them that they need to be asking, because they've done it for so long that the new dispatcher forgets and doesn't have all the information. So we have that standardized training, and then the questions are all asked for the person. Sorry, I had to take a drink break. Mouth's getting dry. And I got to slow down a little bit, because if not, we're going to be done in like 10 minutes. Protocol dispatching cons. It doesn't allow for freelancing of questions. It's hard for veteran dispatchers to get used to, and some dispatchers say it takes more time. So again, like us all, we have a full staff of full staff, and we don't have to worry about anybody training. But we all know we have those veteran dispatchers that have been doing this for forever, and they have their way to dispatch that they want to do, and sometimes they don't want to break from what they've been doing. So they're either going to not follow the protocols like they should be 100%, and they're going to add freelance questions. They're going to add questions that don't really have any need for what is going on with the key questions or case entry. So they're going to be putting in there, and it just doesn't really, it's not necessarily. And it's hard for veteran dispatchers to get used to. They get set in their ways. They've been doing it for quite some time. So therefore they're like, I'm not going to change my ways. And we all have those folks that aren't willing to do it. Now we all have those too that are, yeah, sure, we're going to move on for this. We're going to take it on, and we're going to take the bull by the horns, and we're going to make the best of it. We all have those folks. It's the same for every center. but it does help, if we can get those the veteran dispatchers to understand what's going on. And a lot of times they do understand what's going on. It's just they've been doing it for so long, it's just hard for them to break that habit. But old habits can be broken, and I have a staff that is the same way. We have those that are in the habit of doing it one way, but they're getting better. We implemented our full protocol dispatching the 1st of September, I believe it was. And from the calls that happened at the very beginning to what they're doing now is just oh my God, they've improved so much. It's so much better. But some dispatchers say I can answer a call in a few minutes or a few seconds, answer the few questions, and then move on. And it takes more time for me to do my dispatching. Well, yeah, that's a possibility that it might take a little more. But the reason it's taking a little more time is because you're asking more relevant questions and you're getting better data. You're getting more. I would say that you're getting the better data. Some people also say that it takes away their natural ability to dispatch. Well, while it might take away their natural ability to dispatch, it also adds, adding questions, adding additional information that they need to provide to the responders that necessary, and some of that data is not necessary, but a lot of it is that to keep them from asking more questions. Picking the protocol provider. We all know that there's basically a big three. You've got IAD, PowerPhone, and APCO in no particular order to use the protocols. And then some agencies will have their own in-house protocols to use too. One thing that you need to think about is who you've already been using, the type of training that you're going to have to do. Is it compatible with your current CAD? Are you going to have additional interfaces? Does it work? Is the interface there, but it doesn't really work that great? And how and the cost of it. Believe me, these things are not cheap at all. And it really, there's a lot to go with it. Probably the hardest thing. See, I told you we're going to get done awful quick, so you guys better have some questions. Sorry, Ricardo, I'm letting you down. So some of the hardest stuff to do when you're building out the protocols is apparently I didn't do the right slide on here. So when you go to build out your CAD, or build out your protocols, a lot of times what the companies don't tell you is pretty much you have to, much like building a CAD system, they give you the skin, they give you the outside of it, and you have to put in all the organs and the bones and the blood vessels and all that good stuff to get this to go with your CAD. You have to worry about matching up all of your call types that you currently have with the call types that are listed in your protocols. You have to make sure that they match up. If you're using recommendations, that they come through with your recommendations, that they come through with everything that needs to provide the correct recommendations, or the correct protocol for the chief complaint that you're coming up with. You also have to worry about, again, if it's compatible with your CAD, if you have to do any back end work with what needs to be done. But the main thing is it's going to take months, weeks upon weeks, of maybe months to get your build out done to match up all the call types. Now you can go in and just kind of put a generic call type with it. You can put the generic call type in with it and it looks through, or you can actually build it out to every different type of call type that that goes. If you have one to do if you have one that if you have a fall that's from the ground, from the a large fall, it just depends on how deep you want it to go through. If you want to do the alpha, the bravo, the delta level calls, and you want to add those to that to build out to each call type to where they have the different response, it's totally up to you, and that is something that's easy to build out for yourself. um, but at times it's very difficult to use that way, but it's very rewarding since I've implemented it. um, but it's been hard to get to do, but I would not change it for the world. um, does anybody have any questions or comments? Looks like we're having some pretty major call, or where it's cutting out a lot. Cardo, you want to pipe in real quick?
Yeah, I've excuse me. I've typed in a few things here. I got a hold of the company. Other than refreshing and everyone checking their internet connection to make sure that they don't have a lot of things hogging up the bandwidth, devices connected to it. I'm not sure what else to do. I have to wait until the company can look into this to figure out what it is that is going on. Um, as for questions, let me pop back over here. So as for questions, there is one here, and maybe more so a comment, but I want to go ahead and put this out there. And it says, 18 years in, there are times where I get a hot call, and what I need is an address and a call type to get my units going. If I have to ask all those questions first, I'm going to lose it. So,
right.
What are some things there then?
No, that is true. What we've done in our center is, instead of trying to come up with a call type immediately, we have what we'll call generic call types. So we have a medical, a police, and a fire. Just that basic call type in there, so we can get the address, get the person's name, the phone number, and change and put it. Okay, is this a police, fire, or EMS call? You put that in there, and then you start the protocols. And as you're going through with the interface with your CAD, it'll change your call type back to the way it needs to be, so you can do that.
Awesome.
So right, anything?
Let me switch back over here. All right.
Since we're having the issues, and I think since you're going to, and I think it's on all of our end, and I totally miscalculated what we were going to have with my presentation because I suck big ones.
Whatever, man.
And again, I told you it was going to be the worst presentation of ever. I thought this was going to be something really cool, and then I totally lost it and did that.
No. You're good. I
It's
think what's good with this too is that we have people here who can kind of respond to some of this. It'd be better if this wasn't buffering Crowdcast, so that we could get everyone to be able to talk and communicate. See, Michelle right there says, great presentation.
Yeah, whatever.
Roxy says, cleared my cache for funsies.
And
that might be a thing.
These people are just trying to make me feel good. You guys are,
yeah. Now, see, Alyssa as well. See, no, this is good because there are. So when I was in dispatch, we had everything was protocol based as well, and but because we're using EMD now,
right.
We never used EFD, EPD, none of that stuff. But and I don't know that any of them are in the audience at the moment. They might be able to chime in on that. But for the stuff that we were doing and using and going through, I mean, I see, um, kind of how to build a standard for everybody that's there. Everybody's saying the same thing. You're in line with what you're doing. Sometimes though, and luckily for me, I had the uh, I had the cards, so I could flip, right? I could flip
Right.
through. It wasn't like I had to go through the entire thing and
Yeah,
I had
I
to
guess
check off different things before moving on. So
I
I can
guess that's one
see.
thing I should have said is we're totally pro QA based. So all of ours
Mhm.
is computer, and I uh, I would have hated to have to do all this with cards because the computer makes it so much easier to go through your next question and your just to fill it all out and make sure it's
I had a lot of fun with the cards. I thought I had fun with it. Especially when I'm there and I've got my headset on and I have to like, yep, this is the one. Flip to it
yeah
and start going to it and stuff. And that made it good. So it looks, I I'm looking at those who are having some issues, and it looks like it might be those like some in the Midwest a little bit that are
yeah.
having issues because there are others that are not having issues. So
I
either
wonder.
way, I got information into Crowdcast to get this figured out to see what's going on. Maybe they have a server issue that's going on in this area, but hopefully it doesn't do anything else. Because as of right now, like on my side, being the one on this side controlling it all, or at least as much as I can, everything is crystal clear. Everything is fine. So we're again still trying to get all of this figured out, see what's going on. But there is another question here that I want to ask you, and it says, "What is your opinion, or what, in your opinion, is the best way to get a center on board with a protocol-based dispatching when they are not used to that?"
I will tell you. I was I was kind of concerned about that, but quite frankly, I'm like, well, we're going with it, and this is the way it's going to be. Um, Probably not the best way to go, but that's kind of the way it is at times. Sometimes you can't give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and you get it all taken care of. But when we implemented it, and I told my folks, hey, this is what we're going to be doing. We need to really fully embrace this, and they were already using EMD when I brought the EFD and EFT on. They understood it that it was not because I was trying to make their job harder. They understood it was because I wanted to make their job easier, and that was the whole thing. Is you really push it off that yeah, while it's a lot of work, it does make their job easier because you can get through the call. And once you get used to it, I mean, when you're first starting, it's not going to be, super quick. But once you get it going and really you get your people buying into it, um, they really, really understand how it works and how much it helps because they don't have to worry about the un um, what am I trying to say? They don't have to worry about the questions that, like I said, the officers or the fire or whoever's going to ask that aren't in the protocols. They, when I met with the administrators in the county with police, fire, and EMS to tell them, okay, here's the deal. If the question is not being told, or if there's something that's not being given to you, it's not because we don't care. It's because it's not in our protocol. So therefore, the people that make the protocols, who have had way more, experience and research doing this than anybody else had, feels that those are not the necessarily not the most critical information that needs to be provided. So that's kind of the one thing that we have done, and then our folks really understand, hey, this is making it for the best of us. And at first they're like, nah, I don't really care for it, but now they're really liking it, and they do. Even though when I QA the calls or when I have my other QA staff go through it, I don't get a bunch of negative comments or wait for people to. I don't when I send them the feedback, and I've sent my folks emails to say, I'm not doing this to headhunt. I'm not doing this to make it, to call you out on anything. I'm making this so make our center better and be the best that we can be. My goal is to be an ACE accredited in all 3 disciplines, and that will take a little bit, but it's to say, hey, we're the best of the best, and it's for everybody's betterment of how to do their jobs.
Excellent, man.
Hopefully that answered the question.
Let me go back into the comments here. Ooh, there's a lot of comments. All right. So there's one here. Excuse me. It's got 3 different emojis on it too. It says, I love and hate Pro QA at the same time. Is the blood spurting or pouring out? Haha, my favorite question. Fine to say. Oh, that is excellent. Yeah, I do remember a lot of those. Now, I will ask, and maybe I missed this, but doing it this way, do you feel like it's easier as well to QA, for the QA process, going through all of that?
Yeah, I do. Like, you're meaning with software? Oh, yeah. It's because the Aqua software that they provide to you, I mean, you can see the sequence, how the call goes through, and you listen to it. You can listen to the call as it's going through and mark your goods, your bads, and all that stuff. And then afterwards, you can, hey, I didn't catch this. Because the one thing that I've always you have to give the dispatchers the benefit of the doubt. And while there's a lot of times where maybe our calls aren't the best way that the academy wants them, or the reviewers want them that way, I know my staff, so I know how they should be, how they talk, and how the questions that they ask, and what they do. So I'm not as hard on some of that stuff as probably I should be, but when you can go through and see the call and hear it as it's going through and doing all that while you not have to do it with paper and just click it on the computer screen, man, you can, once you get used to it, you can queue a call 5 and 10 minutes, a normal call, and bust that out pretty easy, as to where you used to have to do it. But I like the software so much better.
Have you ever thought about the time that, or have you always, in your entire career, have you always worked with protocol-based dispatching? And if not, what is the comparison between then and how you're doing it now? Like, what are some of the, I guess, really some of the differences, maybe some eye openers?
When I first started back in 98. 98 when I started.
I'm just playing. Sorry.
I went to that was my first EMD. I think I went like in 99 to my first EMD class or something like that. So I've got my membership numbers is in the 5 digits, as opposed to some of the 6 and 7 digits as it is now. But so it was purely card based. And quite honestly, the center that I started at, we didn't have the number of calls. And for the most part, I was by myself for the majority of the time when I was dispatching. So I was never able to actually use the protocols, because I couldn't take the time to go through protocols, and while that next call might be coming in, or go through the calls with somebody providing CPR on the phone, and not have anybody else, another call coming in, to be able to answer that call. So in my actual dispatching days, we used the protocols, but we never used the protocols. So that, and then when I was promoted to the director of the other agencies, we had the protocols. I had implemented the fire and the police in my previous agency, but from what it was then to what it is now has completely changed. The onboarding process and everything else, without a good project manager, you kind of lose a lot. And I would say one of the reasons that I had such a good experience here in my current agency is the project manager that kept me on task and kept me moving forward to reach the goals I needed to do and help the implementation process. But it changed completely. It's crazy. And if your agency is just using cards and either can't afford the computer software, or your folks do not want to go for the computer software, man, you're missing out, because the software is the way to go.
Have you noticed any differences in excuse me, in your staff, in those who, that are working there? Are there any differences, even in, like, morale and stuff, when
Um,
you're kind of, because you're doing this and you're kind of building a standard there so that everyone is on the same track, right? And they're doing, similar things, and just having that focus that's set there as you're doing all of this. I mean, are there any differences? Have you seen any differences?
I would say from the time we first started, and it was kind of a grumbling, why are we doing this? We don't need to do, that, to now everybody, they understand it. They are better with it. They understand the process of it, and know that it's not just because I want to give them something extra to do. It's because it makes us better, and everybody in here, everybody in my staff wants to be better, so that it really helps. But from the beginning with the grumbling to now, I don't have any grumbling. There might be a little bit when they get a negative cue back and say, hey, hey, you need to do this. It's like, oh, okay, I forgot, or this. But for the most part, the feedback's always good.
Good. That is always excellent, because and of course nobody likes change, right?
Right.
But once
Yeah,
once
that's
once they jump in, figure it out, then it's a lot better.
right.
You just gotta give it a chance.
Got to give protocol-based dispatching a chance.
So I see there's a comment in here that's kind of I mean, just you can look at the emojis, and they're kind of funny on here, but it says, "You will never understand the depth of human." Yeah, this type of until you have to teach someone to say now 4 times, until you just give up, move on, and wait for that non-compliant audit.
Yep, you're
Yeah,
right. And John just posts, sometimes you just got to trade up a non-compliant on your sanity, and that's a lot of it. We're right now. I'm trying to determine, okay, what exactly is when's the time to cut waste? I won't say cut waste. Yeah, I'll say cut waste. When you've had somebody that's gone through the training and everything, and they are just they're trying their heart out, but they just don't get it. They just constant have non-compliant, non-compliant, non-compliant. It's like it's where is it that it's like, okay, you've done this, we went back to remedial training, we've tried this, we've tried that, and you're still at 80, 85% non-compliant calls after a month. It's like, and not just taking one or two, that's it, but these are like 20, 30, 40 calls a month, and I'm like, where is it? It's like, okay, you're done, we're out, we've got to, and you hate to do that, because it's not, I'm not trying to use the program for headhunting or to cut people out, but it's like, man, if you can't figure this out, basically how to read a script is what it is. If you can't figure this out, man, where are we at? So
yeah. There's a couple other things we need to work on then. Well, excuse me. Hopefully, I heard a couple notifications. Hopefully, that's from Crowdcast, and they are getting this stuff figured out. But at least from what I see, everything has been fine. So hopefully, the recording and the replay will be fine as well. And going on from there, we'll be able to continue everything that we're doing. And again, man, thank you for coming on
thank you.
and sharing this presentation. We had a lot of people that are in here interacting in the chat, and it was good to be able to bounce back and forth off of this like we always do.
If anybody has any questions about the protocols or
Mhm.
protocol dispatching, I'm putting my email in here. So if you just can contact me if you need to.
Yes, and also if you are jumping onto the Discord server as well, all of the speakers are there. Go to the Dare to Be Great channel that's right on the left, and we're popping in there periodically saying hello and stuff. But if you have any questions, you can throw them there, and then you can make contact with speakers and such there as well. So thank you.
And also, if you would
Mhm.
like to see Ricardo and I on a national television broadcast, if you're a wrestling fan, be sure to pay attention to the WWE's Tribute to the Troops. What day is that on?
December 17th, I believe.
Yes, December 17th.
Yeah, Saturday at like 2:30 p.m. or something like that.
Yes, mark your calendars because you will see us Saturday, December 17th at 2:30 p.m. on the Fox network. Yes, at the tribute to the troops. It was taped in Indianapolis. So
Yep.
pay attention to where the wrestlers are coming down the aisle because you might see our mugs there.
That's right. You'll see us right there.
Good time.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So we will see you all in the next one, and I believe that one starts at 12:30. I got to double check, but I believe that one starts at 12:30. So take a quick break. I'm going to check with the Crowdcast again, and I will be back here, and it'll be good. So we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys.